So when we were together, he wanted me to shave the side of my head, and he would constantly try to do butt stuff, and I was not about it.
Do you think
That's
that Wade loves anyone? Were the STDs anything that was curable, or were some of them like not curable? Were you aware that Wade was into man booty and dingling?
there we go.
Kelly, thank you so much for being here this evening. I know that you had a long day. You are a pet groomer. And so she really made it happen and she came through for me this evening. So I'm just happy that you're here. I see you have a friend there. Who's your friend?
Oh, this is Possum.
Possum? How old is Possum?
A year and a half.
A year and a half? Oh, well, for those of you watching who don't know, Kelly Matthews is the ex-girlfriend of convicted murderer Wade Wilson. And I personally feel like if someone would had just listened to Kelly early on, this whole thing could have been prevented. Kelly, would you start by telling my audience when and how you first met Wade?
We met in, I believe, September 2018. We met on the Plenty of Fish website, and he came over to my house and we had dinner, and that was the first time I met him.
How long was the correspondence on Plenty of Fish before you two actually linked up and hung out?
I think we talked for about a week.
Did Wade approach you or did you approach Wade?
I don't remember. I think mm, I probably approached him because he's very attractive and there's not very many attractive people on that website.
Mhm. I'm so glad that you were honest about that. And I think that you being honest about that, that's going to win some points over with the audience because a lot of people during these interviews, they get on the interviews and they say what they think they should be saying instead of being real. And so I do appreciate you saying that. That's a big part of it, the way that Wade looks, like the way that he maneuvers and everything, a big part of it is his physicality. So you hung out, you met for dinner, and what happened?
That's it. We just started talking. I think we talked for like a week before we started like officially dating. And I'm not usually one to like move fast like that. I've always been cautious, and just he sucked me in, and I'm a very like private person, and I've always been like against my friends that start dating people and like immediately uh like get married or move in with them and stuff like that. But that's exactly what I did, and that's like not me normally.
Was it just like physical? Like you were just like, wow, I got this like hot guy. He's interested in me. Like, ooh, I'm gonna take a chance on this because
He was a very smooth talker and just like, 6'4", very attractive man. And he, like, I don't know, he just said all the right things that made me want to completely forget all the stuff I've ever used in every other date.
where was Wade living during this time?
So he told me he was living with a friend of his, but I later found out, like a while later, that it was actually a halfway house. He told me that he was living with a friend and he didn't want to live there anymore. And he wanted to stay with me for a little bit, like just spend the night. So initially he just spent a couple nights with me and then eventually just like never left. And I thought he was just living with a friend of his that he just didn't want to, stay in some other guy's house, but it was actually a halfway house that his biological dad had sent him to.
Oh, so that means that he had been incarcerated and they had let him out into a halfway house.
Either that or he was bad into drugs wherever he was living and his dad like gave him an ultimatum.
When you first met Wade, was there any sign of him substance abuse or anything like that?
Nope, not at all.
No, not at all. You spoke on Plenty of Fish for about a week and then you met for dinner. And then how long after that did he move in with you?
very shortly, probably less than a month.
Less than a month. Was he working during this time?
No. He claimed that he was a personal trainer and he had like an Instagram dedicated to it and stuff. And he was fit and he worked out all the time. But he said that he needed to like take a personal trainer test to become a actual personal trainer. Um, but he like made his own like TikTok and Instagram and stuff for like Wade Wilson personal training, but he had called it something else. He went by Steven when I met him. I didn't know his name was Wade. Sorry, your dog is just
Was he making money from social media or from training?
no, not at all. When he went to go train people, he was actually just meeting up with girls and sleeping with them. There was no training going on.
Wow. So what was a typical day like for you and Wade?
Well, I worked, so I don't know what he did when I was at work, but uh, usually if I was off and we were hanging out, we would play. Well, I would play video games a lot. He would take my car a lot and go work. Um, I don't know. We had gone to a couple theme parks because I'm only like a 2 hours from Orlando, so we would go to Universal. Um, we would go to the zoo. We would go hang out with my friends or go to my family's house.
So he met
Um,
your family.
yeah, my parents actually liked him a lot. He was really polite. He said like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Um, he had dinner with them a couple times. And at first they liked him a lot. They were like, oh, this guy's great. He's very attractive and he's very polite. And eventually my mom saw through that though.
Mhm. And you didn't listen to her.
No,
So you mentioned Wade's biological father. Did you actually meet him?
no, I never met any of his family.
But he met your family.
Yeah.
Okay. I want you just to tell things in your own words. Mhm.
Things were decent for a little bit. In early December, I had let my friend Sarah move in with me because she and her long-term boyfriend had broken up.
What month did you actually meet Wade?
September.
September. And so then December, you let a friend move in?
Yeah, my friend Sarah, I let her stay with me on the couch because she had been with her boyfriend for like 4 years and I'd been friends with them. So, she was 18 and I was like, oh, you can come stay with me for a little bit. It's fine. I had caught some text messages between them where they were calling each other babe and stuff. And I was like trying to call them out and they were denying everything. And I had been in a bad car crash. So I was going to physical therapy that day. So when I got back from physical therapy, all their stuff was gone, Wade and Sarah. My PlayStation, my handgun, and they were gone. And
How long have you been friends with her?
we'd been friends for like 2 years.
2 years. Now, is there an age gap between you and this friend?
Yeah, she was 18 and I was 26, I think.
And how old was Wade?
24.
Okay, so you're a couple years older than him.
Yeah. And I had
Oh,
met her friend of mine. It was like his little sister, basically. Um, so eventually I got a hold of them and I found out that they were on their way to Texas. They were gone. Um, so I had figured out a way to get a warrant for his arrest from when he had previously stolen a laptop from me. Um, he had stolen a laptop from me, pawned it like a mile up the road.
so
Um,
before December, he had already stolen something from you.
yep,
So he moved in with September. So he had already stolen something before December. Now it's December and he's stealing more stuff, a handgun. And what else did he steal from you?
my PlayStation, and I think he stole my new laptop too. I don't remember. He
Oh
stole
my
a lot.
goodness.
Um,
Wow.
told the police that, hey, this guy stole my gun. Like, this man is out here with a gun that's not his. They didn't care. Um, they were like, well, we can't do anything about it until it pops up somewhere. So I ended up being able to get a warrant for his arrest. And him and Sarah had gotten into an argument while they were there, and she left him in Texas. She like
Mhm.
drove back to Florida, and he had contacted me and asked to come home. And initially, my plan was just to get him in Florida so that they can serve the warrant and arrest him.
Mhm.
So I paid $50 to get him on a bus and get him home. And he got to my house, and I pretended that I had to go get something outside. And there was like 20 cops outside and dogs, and they had shotguns. And they were like, we can send a dog up after him. And I was like, no, I have dogs. Like, don't do that. I was like, I'll get him to come down. So I asked him to just come down and bring me my car keys. And he did. And they took him down and arrested him. And I think he was in jail for a couple days. And then he started crying and calling me and blah, blah, blah. And I fell right back into it and I bonded him out.
Did you ever get the gun back?
No, I never saw it again.
Well, he
It was,
pawned the rest of the stuff.
yeah, well, I never got my PlayStation back. They never found it. And the gun, Sarah claims that she never saw it, but it was a gun that my dad's friend had given me, and it just he's gone forever.
He's bonded out of jail, and so is this still around December, or what time frame is this now?
But January,
January? Okay, so now you bond him out of jail. So what happens next?
um, he had started using drugs. At first, it was just cocaine, and I don't know anything about drugs. So when I started finding like empty pens and Brillo pads and stuff, I was like, what the crap is this? So I posted on Reddit on a page made specifically for people that use drugs legally in other countries. And I was like, what is this? And they were
Mhm.
like, oh, he's smoking crack. And I was like, what? So, he used to get really paranoid. He would stay up all night and like watch my Ring doorbell camera and like stare out the window. And he was like, people are watching us. He put my Alexa in the freezer.
Bro, that didn't
Grab.
freak you out?
I was like, what is going on?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it was weird. He would take my car at night and disappear. He had crashed my car a few times. So
So
eventually I
real
was
just
like,
like crackhead stuff, like just real
yeah,
like crack
great
addict type stuff. So
crackhead.
do you think that he was just maybe doing this all along and hiding it, or do you think that he just picked up this habit a few months into the relationship?
From what I had heard, they had done meth in Texas.
Hmm.
So I think he was clean when I first met him, and then he just got back into the drugs. And from what I've been told now, he had a drug problem. So he was probably clean for a little while and then just had freedom to start doing it again.
Hmm.
Um, he would steal my stuff and pawn it and then use the money to buy drugs, I guess.
But
Um,
you and him never did drugs together, or he felt like maybe he had to hide that from you because that was not something you were into. Is that how
I've
was the deal?
um he yeah, he used to like snort coke or whatever he was doing, but he would tell me not to look at him when he did it. Like I don't know if he was embarrassed or he knew I wasn't into that, but he would be like, "Don't watch me." And I'm like, "What? Like this is weird."
Oh
So eventually
wow.
ultimatum, I
How
was like,
often was this?
he he was doing it quite a bit towards the end, and I was done. I was like, I can't do this. Like you have got to leave my house or go to a rehab. Like there is no, we're not doing this anymore. Um, so finally on February 18th, which was the day before my birthday, he agreed to go to a rehab, and there was one in Boynton Beach that we were going to go to, and we drove all the way down there, which is like 30 minutes from my house. And we parked outside and he chickened out and he was like, I can't do it. And I was like, okay, like you have to do something. You're not coming back to my house. So I sat and I called a bunch of other rehabs. None of them would take, I don't think he had insurance. So they wouldn't take him without insurance. And he said, let's just go back to your house and we'll figure something out. And I really didn't want to, but we got back to my house, and he suddenly said that he had a rehab to go to in the Keys, and I just had to get him there. And I was like, that's 3.5 hours away. Like that's far.
That didn't ring any
Uh,
alarm bells?
No, I was just like, whatever, get this dude out of my house. I don't care. So I had asked my mom for money because I didn't get paid till the next day. And I was like, I need money to, I didn't want to tell her that I was driving him to the Keys to go to a rehab, but she at this point was over him and over all of the heartbreak that he had put me through. So she was like, I'm not helping you, give him money. I'm like, no.
So was it just you and Wade living together, or do you have children?
No, I don't have any kids. It was just me and my pets.
You and your pets, your babies. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your
Um,
mother says no, she's not going to give you money to get him to the Keys. So then what happens?
so we go back to my house and he says that we should pawn my laptop, the one that he had already pawned. Um, and I had gotten back because we needed money to get to the Keys. And I was like, sure, we can try it. They didn't want it. They were like, it's cracked on the screen. Like, we don't want this. Um, so he called a bunch of people. And at this point, it had been a couple hours. It was getting dark. And we had gotten in an argument. So he was driving my car and he had my phone. He like didn't want me to be using my phone. He was very possessive and weird at the end. So we were near downtown Lake Worth, which was only a couple miles from my parents' house. So I got out of the car. I was like, I'm walking to my parents. Take my car. I don't care. Like, I'm done. I don't care. So I started walking, and my mom called me because it was like 8 o'clock at night. And he was like, your mom is calling. Get back in the car. And I was like, fine. So I got in the car and he told me to put my seatbelt on, and I did. And then he just reached over and started strangling me with both
Mm.
hands. And this man is like 6'4". And when he was doing that, he bit my face and my ear. And he asked me if I was going to stop being stupid. And I said, yes, like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what I did. And he had a pocket knife. Don't know where he got it, but he used it to cut my shirt and my sports bra off.
Mm-mm.
And then he tied my hands together and pushed me on the floorboard of my car. And he told me to stay there and that we needed to find money or he was going to stab me. We drove around like that for probably like an hour. I didn't have any gas. He turned the AC off because he was afraid it was going to like use more gas.
Mm.
So he told me that he could tie me to a tree or tie me up in the back of my car. And I I was like thinking, oh, you could tie me to a tree. That's fine. I'll find a way to get home. But he's like, I'll have to knock you out first. And I was like, never mind. I will
Why
stay
would he
with,
have to knock you out first?
I don't know. He was being very aggressive. He had already hit me in the face once. I had a bloody nose. Um, so I wasn't allowed to look around while I was on the floorboard. So it felt like we went over a couple train tracks and then it got super dark. So I think we were in one of the parks that are around that area.
I'm sorry, the options were he could tie you to a tree,
Yes.
or
Or tie me up in the back of my car.
okay, and which did you choose to do?
My car.
Because you didn't want to get knocked out.
Yeah. I was like,
And I'm
I would,
not trying to make light of it. It's just it's so asinine. Like
yeah,
his, you know what I
no,
mean? Like
I was like, if this man hits me, like, I'm going to be messed up.
right.
So, um, he pulled over somewhere in the park and he told me to get out and get in the back seat, but don't look around. So I did, and I just kept my head down. And when I got in the back seat, he had pulled my shorts off, so I was completely naked at this point, and he had sexed me a couple times. And then he used, I had laundry bags, like plastic garbage bags full of laundry, because I lived in downtown. There's no like laundry places. So I was going to go do laundry at my parents' house. So he used the laundry bags to tie my feet together. And then he came around the other side and tied a t-shirt and leggings around my eyes and my mouth, and then tied my arms together as well. And he had slammed the door on the passenger side where my feet were,
Oh my
slammed my foot,
goodness.
broke my foot. I was screaming like, and then he just piled dirty laundry on top of me and drove off. And he sold my phone to somebody for $50 and what I assume was more drugs. They found weed in my car when they searched it. Um, So he got money. He went to McDonald's and got like food and drinks while I was tied up in the back of the car, covered in laundry. Like, I just remember thinking, my family's not going to find me and it's my birthday. Like, they're never going to find my body. Like, no one knows where I am. No one knows anything. I later found out that my best friend had like a weird feeling and sent my other best friend to go drive by my house to check on me. And my car wasn't there. And they were like, that's weird. Like, she's not answering us and she's not home. Um, Obviously they couldn't do anything because they didn't know where I was, but she had like a weird feeling. Um, so eventually I complained enough that my hands and my feet had hurt so bad from being tied so tight that he untied my feet and he let me flip around so that my head was on the passenger side. Um, and then he untied my hands as well. He told me I had to keep my eyes covered and the gag in my mouth. So that was like another 2 hours maybe. And then eventually he
Foot is
undid.
broken during all of this. Like he slammed your foot in the car door.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
My face was busted, my lip was busted and bleeding. Um, and when he took the gag out of my mouth and he saw what he did to me, he started crying. Um, he was like, "Look at your face. Like, I can't believe I did that to you. I'm so sorry."
Wait, he told you to look at your face that he can't believe what he did to you.
Yeah, and I couldn't see what I looked like, but I could feel that I had like crusted blood on my face.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I to like placate him and make light of it. And I was like, "Oh, it's okay. I look like a Kardashian now." Like, I could feel like my lip is so messed up. Um, and he reached back and he was trying to hold my hand. And
I
I was
don't
like,
mean
"Oh,
to make light of it. I guess it's good that you're bringing levity to the situation, but that was
I
like
have
the most hilarious thing right there, what you just said.
a morbid sense of humor. Like,
Right.
when I get scared, I like make light of things."
Mhm.
He held my hand and was like, "I love you. I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Oh no, it's okay." Like, I was, trying to.
Right.
When we got down to the keys, I had told him that I really had to go to the bathroom. So he pulled over next to a place called Sundowners and they were closed because it was like 2 a.m. He let me get out and pee in their parking lot. And then I said, like, I should probably be sitting in the front seat because, we're meeting up with a friend of yours or something. Wouldn't it be weird if I was in the back, like tied up? And he was like, "You're right, you're right. Put some clothes on and you can sit in the front seat." But he made me sit on the floorboard until we got closer to where we were going. And
Was
then
he
I could,
doing drugs during all of this, during this drive and during this abuse and everything? Was he doing any drugs?
I'm not sure. I didn't smell anything, but I was also like under piles of laundry.
Right.
It would not surprise me because they found a bag of weed in my car. I don't smoke even weed. Um, but I'm sure he was doing something harder because,
Yeah, weed is not going to make you.
yeah. um, so when we got down there, he told me not to look at the person that he was going to go with because of my face. And we got down to this gas station and there was a girl there. And he said, like, "Get in the driver's seat." And he grabbed his backpack and left. And he handed me my keys. And he just left with this girl named Courtney.
Did the
Um,
girl see you at all?
I made eye contact with her. She swears up and down that it was a bright gas station and she saw my face and that there was no blood, there was nothing on my face. But that gas station closes at 9. Oh, sorry. That gas station closes at 9 p.m. So obviously it wasn't bright. It's in the Keys. They don't have big gas stations down there. Um, she is one of the women, the only girlfriend of his that he has not hit, and she's fighting to save him. Um, she all of a sudden is like, "Team Wade, save his life."
We all make bad decisions. We all want love. Most normal human beings want love. And you took a chance and you just took a chance on someone who turned out to be a monster.
Yeah, and I mean, the girl Sarah that he dated was like supermodel beautiful, and he still hit her. So it doesn't matter what you look like, you know. If you
Do
were
you,
vulnerable, he didn't care.
do you think that Wade is inherently evil, or do you think that all of the rage is just caused by the drugs?
I don't know. I think there's evil in there but I think it comes from whatever mental issues he has going on, and the drugs probably exacerbate it. Um, but I mean, lots of people do drugs and don't. So
So you're left at this gas station, and then what happens?
I drove home. I knew how to get home from the Keys because I lived down there. So a lot of people ask why I didn't stop it. Why I didn't stop at a gas station or anything. And I'm thinking, we live in Florida. If a girl that's barefoot, covered in blood, walks into a gas station asking for help, they're going to be like, oh, she does drugs. So I just drove home, and I drove home like 100 miles an hour, thinking I live in Florida, I'll get pulled over. And I never, nothing.
And so it
Three,
takes you like how long to get home from the Keys?
like 2 hours because I was driving so fast.
Hmm.
uh, so I got to my mom's house, and I uh, used their back door key, got in the back, went in their room, and I woke them up. And at first, my mom was like, what did you do? You get in a fight with your boyfriend? And then she turned on the light and she saw what my face looked like. And so we called the police, and they met us at my house. They sent a CSI to go through my car, and one of them drove me to the hospital where I had the done. I gave a statement. They took photos. Um, and then I went back home, and the detective in charge seemed like he was very helpful at first. Then, oh, sorry. Um, he seemed like he was very helpful at first, and then after a day or two, he just started changing. He was like, because I had reached out to Wade. I was like, why did you do this to me? Like, why? What is wrong with you? And I later learned that it is like a trauma bond and battered women syndrome, where, your brain is not really there. Um, People reach out to their assailants all the time. All the people with the calls and stuff that are coming out, they're like, well, why'd you talk to him? And I'm like, if you listen to the way my voice is, or you read the emails, all I wanted for was him to admit what he did. That's it.
I could tell when you were talking to him on the jail calls that that's what you were doing. Like people were like, "Well, why are you talking to him?" I'm like, "Clearly, this girl is trying to get him to admit to something," and even he knew it. One thing that irritated me about those calls is that he was like very arrogant. Like I don't know exactly what you were saying, like verbatim, but it was something to the extent of, "Oh, you're trying to seduce someone else," or something to that extent. And he was like, "Oh, I don't have to try." So it's almost like he knows that he's attractive, so he's like, "Oh, I don't have to try. They just
Yeah,
do it."
exactly. That's
Mhm.
how he is too. And when I had brought up that he had cheated on me a bunch of times, he's like, well, I was only with like three girls. And I'm like, are you serious? But
Mhm.
he will not still admit it to this day. He will not. And it,
Do you think that maybe for you it was more traumatic because you're being intimate with this person who you want it to work and you want it to be something real, but this person is just being promiscuous the whole time and just sleeping with people. So to him, it's kind of like nothing, and so it's more hurtful to you. Do you think that that's what it is?
I think back then, yes, because I thought I loved him, and I felt so broken about it. But looking back, I did not love him. I think it was lust. I had this attractive man, and it like everything that he did to me does not hurt me as much as. Can we stop, please? Sorry, he's an idiot. Hey,
No worries.
knock it off. Everyone's like, you're so obsessed with him, like he broke your heart, but it's not him, it's the whole justice system. I could care less about him. It's the fact that this police officer didn't help me, and they got DNA from him, they got a statement from him. This officer, had everything. And even in his report, he wrote that I had ligature marks on my arms, I had bite marks on my face, handprints around my neck. And then in the same report, he put that he didn't have enough evidence to arrest him.
Was that
And
because you called Wade?
I think that's part of the reason is he's like, oh, well, you must not be afraid of him. And I'm like, that's not how that works. Like, I still would like to press charges. And he was like, well, I interviewed him and he said you were into that kind of thing. You were into BDSM. And I was like, there's a difference between that and what he did to my face. He sold my phone. He, like, I love getting my phone sold and my face bashed in. Like, that's exactly what I love.
Think, and this is not me judging, I'm just saying that the world has all kind of ideas. Do you think it was because of your physical appearance, like tattoos and stuff, that he just automatically assumed that you were into that sort of thing, the detective?
Probably. I didn't have as many tattoos, but yeah, I mean, I had tattoos and like more of an alternative look. So probably, but I mean, I called and had an internal investigation opened against the officer, and he did get in trouble. He got demoted from detective to
Good.
back road patrol, and he was put on like 120 hours of leave, which is
Mhm.
not enough to me. I don't think
Right.
it.
Was Wade into BDSM? Did
No,
he
not
like
with.
it? So he didn't like bondage or
Nope, not with me. We never tried that stuff. That's what a lot of people are assuming. They're like, "Oh, well, you were probably into that stuff anyway." Like he was into that, and I was like, "No." So,
assault is never justified, regardless of what you're in. So that's definitely not what I'm implying. I just wanted to know, just because the public is curious about this guy who would do that. So we were just like wondering, like, okay, was there anything else he was into? So you nothing weird.
no, not with.
He didn't like to have like that.
Not. I mean, he might have with others, but with me, it was very normal.
So do you think that what made him spaz out on you is the fact that you were giving him an ultimatum?
I don't know what made him just snap that night. I really have no idea because, I mean, I got out of the car. I gave him the opportunity to like take my car, go to the keys. You don't need me.
Mm-hmm.
And still, wanted me back in the car and wanted to do whatever. I honestly think the only reason he didn't kill me is because my entire family and my friends knew who he was. And he, he was like, well, if I kill that knows who I am, I'm definitely going to get caught.
We've heard about everybody's calling her Kiosk Kristen. That's her nickname on the internet.
I
And
know.
so there's a new character that has come into play, and this guy's name is Joey.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Joey. A lot of people are, I mean, I don't know who Joey is. I was made privy to Joey maybe like 2 days ago, so I have a lot of catching up to do. But I did hear a conversation between Wade and Joey where they're discussing marriage and they get like the conversation gets like really like sexually explicit.
Yep.
And Wade tells Joey that he's always been into guys and stuff, and that the people who actually know him knows this and is very cool with him. So were you aware that Wade was into man booty and dingling?
Not outright. Um, so when we were together, he wanted me to shave the side of my head and he would constantly try to do butt stuff. And I was not about it. Um, so that should have keyed me in. But
He
after
wanted you to
that,
do butt stuff to you or to him?
to me, um, after he was with that girl in the Keys, he dated my friend's friend, Chris, a guy, and posted pictures together. They were not hiding it at all. And that guy, Chris, reached out to me and we're friends on Facebook. We became friends. And I straight up asked him, I was like, can you just tell me right now, do you guys like have sex? And he's like, yeah, we're dating. Like, that's what we do. And I was like, okay, but like, do you have sex with him? And he was like, yeah. And I
No,
was
the details, let me figure this out. Like I hear
like,
you.
just making sure. Um,
So wait,
and
so you wanted to know basically who was doing the
because I was like, this dude's like huge. Like, he's a big guy. Like, tell me the truth. Is he
you mean
like
big guy as far as like
he's
uh
6 foot,
oh you don't
he's
mean like his anatomy down there, you mean like he's just a big guy. So you
Yeah,
wanted to know if this big guy was doing the bending over.
yeah, exactly. Because the guy he was dating is prettier than I am. Like he's this little tiny petite blonde guy. Um, and I've never been quiet about it. I never said the guy's name, but I was always like, Wade dated a man after Courtney. Like he was not private about it.
You
And
spoke to this guy.
yeah, all these
He's
fangirls are like, no, no, they weren't dating. He would never. And then the calls came out with Joey, and I was like, what was that?
told
Like,
you. So you said this guy, Chris, did he confirm who was doing what to who?
yeah, he said that they would both, you
They
know,
were to each other.
yeah.
Wow. So do you know this Joey? Because I don't know anything about Joey. Do you know how old Joey is or anything?
So someone posted a picture of him recently. I can send it
Oh,
to you. Um, he is supposedly like 55-ish. Apparently, he like finds cute guys in prison and jail and reaches out to them.
so they
Um,
didn't know each other outside of like,
Not that I know of, no.
wow. So basically, so not only is it Kiosk Kristen, it's Kiosk Joey as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna make t-shirts.
Wow. That is crazy. Wow. So did that alarm you after you found out that Wade was like bisexual, that because you were intimate with him? Did that a lot of women, it's a concern for them to be with like a bisexual guy because they're concerned about their health or like, oh, like especially he's on drugs. Like, what is he doing? He's on meth.
Not so much the gay aspect as the drug aspect. Um, his dad told me that he had a couple STDs, so I had to go get checked and stuff. Um, and then his baby mama confirmed some of them. So,
So how
uh,
many kids does Wade have?
so biologically, he only has one, as far as I know. He has a son with his baby mama that I speak to. He thought he had two, but she had a paternity test done like a year or two ago, and that confirmed that the girl was not his. So it's just the boy. There's been a couple women that have come out and been like, "Oh, he's the father of my child too," but all the like documents that they've provided are very obviously like Photoshop.
Right. So were the STDs, I know because of HIPAA laws and everything, you can't share that. Were the STDs anything that was curable or were some of them like not curable?
Both of them are not curable. Both of them are lifelong, but I think you can take meds to help both of them.
Okay. I'm trying to think of the ones that I know of that's not curable.
One of them is drug related, like you get it from
Oh,
drug,
okay. So like, okay, we're thinking, of course, I'm not asking you to confirm. I'm just talking to my audience right now. So like hepatitis, herpes,
like the
gotcha.
letters. Yeah. So
Mhm. Wow. What kind of legal action are you taking against law enforcement and that sort of thing?
so I'm trying to find a lawyer first to go after the police department, but I'm having a hard time. Whew, because no one wants to go after the police department. So I've been trying to find a lawyer. I've been trying to raise a little bit of money to maybe like show a lawyer that I have some money. But lots of people have been saying, if you find one, they'll do it because they know that they can get a good chunk.
Any attorneys in the Florida area, I'm going to leave all of Kelly Matthews' information down in the description box. I'm going to link her, put her cash app in this video. This woman's a hard worker and she's really like just struggling to make it. She's whatever you can send, just send it to her. And yeah, if some lawyers want to do even pro bono work, or if they're just interested in taking on the case because they know that they can benefit from it as well, hey, as long as it helps Kelly, contact Kelly and we'll see what happens. Anything else coming up as far as you telling your story, like documentaries? Are you putting any together any projects to get the word out about what happened to you? Because I feel like if people would just listen to you, then there would be like two women still alive right now. Because
Yeah.
if you've been convicted for what happened to you, that's not something that's small, like kidnapping, assault. He would have still been in jail. Like he would not, those women would have still been alive.
Yeah, I agree. I want to write a book for battered women, but I'm also supposed to be working on a documentary with Bunny, Jelly Roll's wife. Um, So she's supposed to be working with myself and the other victims, all of his victims, including the family of the two women who died. Um,
So when you
so
say
hope,
other victims, we know about the two women who passed
yep.
away, but there was what other victims? So there's other women who went through the same thing as you that he did this to?
His baby mama was put in the hospital a couple times. Mila, the woman that was on the West Coast with him.
Mhm.
Uh, Chris, the man that he dated, he
He beat Chris too?
tried to stab him. Yeah, so there's a lot of us that are going to be in this documentary.
Have you heard of any more men besides Chris?
No, and
Oh,
Joey, but
and Joey. So you what did Joey look like when you saw him?
like he sounds like an old
Oh.
Italian man.
So Chris looks better than Joey?
Oh yeah, Chris is adorable.
Oh, okay. So it seems like you have a good rapport with Chris as well as Wade's the mother of Wade's child.
Yeah.
Oh, did Wade ever talk about his like adopted family when he was with you?
Not really. He told me he was adopted and he had gotten a letter from his adoptive dad talking about his daughter, and I think he had like his birth certificate and stuff in there, but that's it. Like he never told me.
You said talking about his daughter?
Yeah, his dad was talking about Wade's daughter, which we later found out was not actually his daughter,
Oh,
but
okay.
I didn't know he had kids. And I was like, who's this? Like,
Mhm.
you have a kid? And he was like, oh, no, it's not mine. Like, it's my friend's kid or whatever.
So do you
So,
think that he had like a good childhood from whatever
oh,
you've heard?
yeah, absolutely. They are wealthy and they sent him to college and he had good schooling and doctors, and there was no reason for him to be this way.
Hmm. Now, I do know that his father mentioned that his mother had like some mental health issues and stuff like that. Can't believe that his parents is only like a couple years older than me. That's like so wild.
So young.
But like when I was like, I'm like, wow, they're like literally only like 3 or 4 years older than me. That's crazy. So but he has he ever met his biological mom?
Yeah, no, I think they probably have hung out a few times because he was saying that he would like go party with her sometimes.
Mhm. Kelly, before we end, is there anything that you want to say to the public, whether it's just from your experience or warning or things that you want people to know based on things that people have been saying about you in the media? What do you want the world to know? Because a lot of people are going to see this.
Listen to your gut and your friends and your family. Your heart is not always right. Um, and I don't know. I just all those women simping over him, it's disgusting, but we'll find out the verdict on the 27th, and I cannot wait.
Are you hoping for,
Yes.
you're hoping for the unaliving?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my goodness. What do you have to say to these people that's like just meeting him? Like, do you think that he's just using them for money and conversation so he won't be lonely? What do you think of this?
Absolutely. I think that he I don't know if you've seen his Fundly. It's like $67,000. He has all this money and all these women all over him. And if any of them think that they're his like one and only, they are so very wrong. That's all he wants. He wants someone to talk to because he's lonely. And also, they're putting money on his books. He can go buy food, he can go buy whatever in there. Um, but
Do you think
that's
that Wade loves anyone?
not at all. I think he's like a textbook narcissist.
Wow. Do you think that Wade's going to marry Joey?
Yeah. I don't even know if they're still together, but that would actually be like an amazing plot twist to this whole story.
Oh, so right now you're looking for legal representation for the injustice that has been done to you. You're working on a documentary with now. Who are the people I'm not familiar with? You said Jelly Bean and his wife. I'm not familiar with them.
Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll. Oh
uh,
my God, I'm so sorry.
yeah, he's a country singer. And he works a lot with like Post Malone and MGK and stuff.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
Wife, she has her own podcast called Dumb Blonde, and she's really great. She was a victim of domestic violence also. So
Mm.
she reached out to me, and because everyone was started tagging her in my videos. So finally she reached out, and she's just super sweet. She's a really, really nice person.
Okay, I know that you have had a long day, so I'm not going to keep you. I would love to invite you back on my channel, maybe after the verdict, if you would so
Oh yeah.
graciously accept my offer. Thank you so much. And don't let the bullying, people are going to talk. Like, people are going to talk, and you can't allow that to stop you from your mission, which is to get justice for what happened to you and for
Yeah.
being ignored. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you
Thank
feel
you.
about it? How do you feel about everything? I know you're apprehensive a little bit. How do you feel? Like, do you like to
Yeah,
right
I
now
feel,
after the conversation?
yeah, you're easy to talk to. I've been lucky to have a lot of good people that have wanted to reach out to me. So,
Okay. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right, Kelly?
all right. Thank you. You too.
All right. Take care. Have a great night.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.